Hello and welcome to Gaining Cooperation with Positive Discipline. My name's Kristen Anker, and I'm going to be your host through this workshop today. I just wanted to take the time to introduce myself and tell you a little bit about how I discovered positive discipline and why I should be teaching it to you today. So before I was mom to my 12-year-old daughter, Maggie, my 9-year-old daughter, Annie, and my 6-year-old son, Walter, I was a Montessori educator. And I taught children 3 to 6 years old. So I was the preschool kindergarten teacher. After that, I became the director of the preschool kindergarten program. So I oversaw 3 classrooms and trained teachers and did workshops for parents. And then I was an assistant head of school at a large Montessori school up in Massachusetts, Oak Meadow School. And it was there when I started to learn more about discipline. So as the assistant head, I was the disciplinarian of the school. So I had a lot of 4-year-old boys in my classroom, and I think it was more so the teachers could just take a deep breath and have a break, some energy out. I had some 13, 14-year-old girls in my office. I remember it was towards the beginning when all the social media came out, and there was the bullying that was going on online. And I had a lot of teachers in my office, and a lot of it was relationship with the assistant teacher and the teacher. And I had a lot of parents in my office. And I always say now I would love to be a fly on the wall because I had such good advice. I thought, I had all this advice for these parents, and I had a lot of the book advice and what I've learned through child development and Montessori and Reggio Emilia education. But what I didn't have quite yet was the experience of being a mom. So fast forward a few years, and my oldest daughter's almost 3, and I'm holding my newborn baby, my second daughter, in my hands, and I am just scared. I'm scared to death. It's, maybe a weekend and my husband's going to work and I'm just holding that baby going, I have to go to the post office today. Like, how can I have this baby and this wild child with me to go run this small little errand? And I think nothing can prepare you for parenthood until you're in it. And I learned a lot. It was then when I had started my consulting business and I was working with a school doing some workshops for them. And I was talking to the head of school and I shared with her some of my challenges. I said, this is really hard. I thought I was going to have this perfect child. I thought she was going to do what I told her to do. And it was far from that. She was very strong-willed, did not want to get in the car seat when I wanted her to get in the car seat. We were always late to places. I just felt like a hot mess. And I knew I needed some guidance. And so talking to this head of school, she said, oh, have you ever heard of positive discipline? And I said, oh yeah, I saw Jane Nelson speak at a Montessori conference. So I brushed off my Positive Discipline for Preschoolers book and I read it and it really resonated with me. And a wise woman had told me, right when I was pregnant, oh, Kristen, you're going to read all this stuff and then you're going to read one thing online and then something else is going to be the exact opposite. It is confusing and it is very overwhelming. And I spent many years in overwhelm. And what she said is once you resonate with something, just stop reading and just, enjoy your children. And positive discipline really resonated with me and with Montessori, and the more research I do on it, the philosophy is based on the work of Alfred Adler and Rudolf Dreikurs. And Dreikurs and Montessori were not colleagues, but they were in the same time. So they knew of each other's work. And I think it blends very well. So enough about that. I started to learn and I never stopped. I became a trainer for teachers and a positive discipline trainer for parents. And I'm continuing to do the work right along with you. So much of what I talk about are things that I do with my kids. Some things came later out of necessity, and we'll just get started with it. I'm going to share my screen with you. I just wanted to introduce a little bit first, and I hope everybody can see my screen. And we're going to start a little slideshow on gaining cooperation with positive discipline. So let's start it from the beginning. There we go. Okay, so there's Walter there. And this is probably what we would all love to have, right? A happy child. Look, you just see the light in his eyes. A successful child. We would love for them to love learning. We would love for them to be respectful. And, you know, looks like this little guy probably has a good sense of humor and responsible and resilient. We're hoping we can all get through this time with resiliency. And this is what we hope and dream. We hope and dream all these things when we all, I'm sure, do. I know I do. But this is our day to day. You know, there's so much going on. There's so many responsibilities. There's, you know, and like I said before, it's nothing can prepare you for parenthood until you're in it. And you've got to just figure it out. And I feel like that's where some of the early overwhelm came to me. And I needed to just realize this is something new. I'm learning a new job. I'm learning new skills. So I really challenge parents to have that growth mindset of, hey, this is an opportunity to learn new skills, to learn about our children, to learn about ourselves. I've learned so much about myself the past few years being a parent, but know that it's challenging and know that we all are having our own challenges. And I'm sure there'll be times when you feel like, oh gosh, this is so hard. And then a few years later, you're like, oh my gosh, I wish I didn't realize how easy I had it. This is, you know, even more challenging. So we all are going through these challenges and we're all learning. And if we could think of this, you know, having this growth mindset of like, sometimes I'm going to make a mistake and these mistakes are just opportunities for learning. I've learned about some mindset shifts that I needed to make, and I'm going to share that with you. Some daily routines that I don't think I finally got down until I had my third child that really help, and effective communication. So using positive psychology skills on ourselves, using nonviolent communication with our kids, we can build connection. And when we have that connection, our children will cooperate with us. Our children will feel that sense of the internal locus of control. And they're gonna wanna be good when no one's looking. They're gonna wanna do the right thing for you. So a little bit about myself. I'm a parent empowerment specialist. I work with schools, I work with families, and I help new moms to gain confidence, to gain cooperation with their children, and to bring a little bit more peace and joy in their homes, to allow some of this time. To use effective communication in order for parenting partners to see eye to eye and get on the same page. A lot of times we're using skills that maybe were used on us. We sometimes parent from our emotions and our memories. And of course, there's, you know, I'm sure you've said, oh, I never want to be like my mom, or I never want to sound like that. And sometimes that comes out. And that's where we need to understand we're all coming from different backgrounds, different ways that we've grown up, and how we can work on that together. So that's a little bit about me, but what I would love to hear from you And this is where in the workshop, we would pause and just brainstorm some of the challenges that are going on. Write down the challenges that you're having right now. So either, pause this or take this time to write down some of the challenges that you're having right now, to put it in the chat if you'd like to share, because this is the time when you can build community around knowing that we're all, going through a lot of these challenges. When I do this workshop live and in schools, we brainstorm together. But these are usually a lot of the challenges that are up there. I only wrote a few, but I'm sure you can see these and realize, oh, okay, yep, bedtime hassles, sibling fighting, eating, they're not eating enough, they're eating too much, they're eating all the time. The snacking, I think that became an issue last spring. Power struggles, screen time usage, not listening, back talk, and the list goes on. So what I would love for you to do now is close your eyes and imagine and visualize your child, however old your child is, visualize for when they're 25 years old. So maybe that's 18 years from now, maybe that's 20 years from now, maybe that's, just 15 years from now. But visualize your child grown up, fully grown at age 25. And what are the life skills and characteristics? What are the gifts that you would love for this human being to have? And I say the age of 25 because, and this is my nifty brain in the palm of my hand, the age of 25 is when neuroscientists discovered the prefrontal cortex is not finished developing until the age of 25. And we're going to go over that, what that part of the brain does. It's very important. But it's not done developing until the age of 25. So we're in this for the long term. This is long-term parenting. These are our goals. These are our goals. So what would we love to see? And usually these words are up there. They would love for them to be independent. Sometimes people joke and say, I don't want him coming up from the basement. They want them in their own house and apartment. To be kind, to be honest, hardworking, respectful, to want to be with us. That resilience always comes in there. And so much more, to be successful, to feel good in one's own skin, to feel confident, to have that sense of self-worth, that self-esteem. Some people say to be a risk taker, and some people say they want them to be cautious. So we all want different things. And so imagining your child at age 25 coming home for Thanksgiving, and this is what we would love to have. So knowing that these are our goals. This is the long range goals. And how do we show up? How are our kids going to learn this? Is how we show up. So when you're having those bedtime hassles, how are you showing up for your kids? Are you sometimes using a little sense of humor? Are you, figuring out how they work and working with them and being cooperative? We want our kids to be cooperative. Are we being cooperative with them? Are we showing them respect? Treating our children with dignity and respect so they learn how to be that human being, that type of human being. So that's the challenge. And that's what's really hard about parenting is it's in those times where it's so hard, where we're so challenged and we're triggered. Can you regulate your own emotions to show up to be that type of person for your child? So I probably went on that a little bit more, but how are they going to learn these skills? And a lot of times parents realize, not until they have kids, is how we were raised affects us so much as parents. And what did we learn from our parents? And then I challenge some of my private clients enough, like, what can we change? How can we reparent our inner child that comes out? How can we reteach ourselves these skills and reparent ourselves first? So that's again, the work. But there's 3 important relationships that we need to continuously bring attention and intention towards. And I think of it as this kind of equal triangular relationship between the parent, or when I do these workshops with teachers, the teacher, the child, and the environment. And those are the 3 things we need to constantly be focusing on: is ourselves first. We need to make sure we're okay. And I'm going to be talking about this in a minute. We need to look at our children. Are their needs being met? How are we preparing the environment for them? And it's not just the physical environment, it's the emotional environment as well. So first, we need to be looking closely at the relationship we have with ourselves, to give ourselves grace. I learned this past year, how to give ourselves grace and self-compassion, to give ourselves the time and space to live into this version of ourselves, if this is what we want, to be the best version of ourselves. We want to have the energy and the patience to raise our kids. And the only way to do this is to take radical self-care of yourself. So what that looks like looks different for everybody, but I can assure some, good rest and nutrition and breathing and air. I actually learned a lot about what we need for optimal well-being. And we'll continue to talk about that throughout the workshop, but what it takes, what you need to feel good. People do better when they feel better. So what do you need to feel good? And that's why it does look different for people, because people need different things. Me personally, I know I need water. I need a lot of water. We need to make sure we're drinking half of our body weight in ounces. So whatever that is, make sure you're drinking water. It's a new habit I just started, having 20 ounces of water first thing in the morning before I start my morning coffee. Water, exercise. If I can't get that, exercise I have in, at least the walk, some type of movement. I need to practice breathing. I need to breathe fresh air. We need to be out in sunshine. There's a lot that we need, but those are, personally what I need. Meditation is something that really has helped me this past year, and being less reactive with my kids and my spouse. Meditation has helped that. So what do you need? Okay, so here's where we're going to learn a little bit about the brain. And what I said, I was going to do this handy brain model, and you can see the human brain right in front of you. So if you look at the back of the brain, that represents the, wait, I'm sorry, I'm going to start a little backwards a little bit. So open up your hand, if you take your right hand there in front of you, and look down from the palm down. And for the palm down, that basically represents your brain stem. And your brain stem is in charge of all those automatic bodily functions, your heart rate, your breathing, your brain stem. Then you put your thumb over the middle of your palm, and that represents the amygdala. And the amygdala is the midbrain. And the midbrain is where that major radar lives. The amygdala is in charge of the freeze, fight, flight response. The amygdala, they call this the reptilian brain. They call this the primitive brain. So this is where we keep those emotions and memories are stored, are here. So then we're going to close our fist, and then this is the brain. So then the back is the cortex, where all the senses come in, and those 5 senses. This front part is where all the thinking is happening. There's all these neurons and synapses is happening. And right at the front, if you look at your distal fingertips, that's the prefrontal cortex. And the prefrontal cortex is what's not finished developing until the age of 25. But this prefrontal cortex is in charge of so much. It's where all those executive functioning skills are happening. It's our judgment, morality. It's where what we call mind sight, where we can think about our thoughts. Dr. Daniel Siegel has created this model. It's based on our interpersonal relationships, our intrapersonal relationships, our idea of self-regulation. It's all here. It all happens here in the prefrontal cortex. One, it's not done developing till the age of 25, but what neuroscientists have discovered is here's two people looking at each other. The other thing that our brains do is they have these neurons, these mirror neurons, these monkey see, monkey do neurons. So if we're having a tough day and maybe we woke up too late, maybe we didn't get enough rest, maybe we're late going to work, we spilled coffee on ourselves, we walk in, our boss yells at us, something's happening, and we just do this. We literally our brain goes off and it flips its lid. So we flip its lid. And the neuroscientists saw that when we are like this, mirror neurons show that our children, our spouse, whoever we're like this with might do this as well, because you can read each other's emotions and your memories. So it's very important for us when we're like this, how do we get back down here? And it's called self-regulation. And this is a skill that we need to probably learn to do ourselves, figuring it out, and then teaching our children through role modeling how to self-regulate. And when I ask parents this, usually I ask them, what makes you feel better? Like when you're like, someone triggered you, you're like freaking out, what makes you feel better? And again, it might be different for everybody, but I would suggest taking a deep breath probably helps people. You take a deep breath. I've learned about this great acronym called STOP, S-T-O-P, and you S, stop what you're doing. T, take a deep breath. O, observe what's happening in your body. So you're going to feel sensations somewhere. It might be sensations in your chest. It might be in your gut. When you feel anxious and stressed and triggered and mad and angry and all those bad feelings, where do you feel it in your body? So observe that. And then the P is proceed with caution, or I've heard this acronym used by many people. And the P can be, being proactive and not reactive. Like, how can you respond to this situation? So that stop, you take a deep breath. I've learned a lot about box breathing in for 4, hold for 4, out for 4, pause for 4. Box breathing has saved me many times, I think this past year. But how can we self-regulate? Sometimes just taking a quick walk outside, take a couple deep breaths, have that drink of water, whatever you need to do to calm down before we help our children to calm down. And I talk a lot about positive timeout. And this is when I know a lot of people use time out as like a form of discipline, or they think it's discipline. But a punitive timeout, which is like a grounding or going to your room or go sit in that chair, or you go to your room and you think about what you just did. That punitive timeout doesn't always work. It doesn't really work. If we are looking at the long range goals, like remember those 2 lists, if we're looking at those life skills and characteristics, what's that teaching our kids? Not much. Same with like a spanking. What's that really teaching our kids? Not much, just that I have control over you. And that maybe they'll do that to their kid one day. But what we want to teach them are we want to teach them. So discipline through teaching. And first realizing that people do better when they feel better. So if they're like this too, if their brain is going like this, how we can help them, right now it looks like you're not ready to talk about it. I need to help you to feel better. What would you like, would you like to go to your peace area? And so I help my children to make a little area for themselves for self-regulation. So they pick all their favorite things to go in this little spot, and it's for self-regulation. Okay, so how are we going to foster these, the 3 R's at home? So this is respect, responsibility, and resilience. And this is the criteria for effective discipline. So these 5 things below are basically the 5 criteria for effective discipline. It's discipline that works. And like I said before, discipline that teaches. So the first idea is to understand, and this is something that Rudolf Dreikurs and Alfred Adler, 2 Viennese psychologists, studied in human beings, children more so, but also adults, that all human beings have this need for belonging and significance. Belonging and significance. And belonging and significance can also be thought of as love and power. And if they don't feel that sense of belonging and significance, they're going to find a mistaken way to get it. So they realized there were these 4 mistaken goals. And they noticed misbehavior as either being undue attention, misguided power, revenge, or assumed inadequacy. And that these children all fell in these 4 boxes, these mistaken goals. But really, our children just need to feel like they belong, like they're loved no matter what. They have this unconditional love from someone. And they need to feel like they have a little bit of power over their life. They have to feel this significance. So when they're feeling threatened, they're going to use that misguided power. So how do we go about them in a kind and firm way? Because kindness shows respect for the child, and firmness shows respect for the situation. You're the adult, you have the prefrontal cortex, and you know when to have those limits and boundaries set in a kind and firm way. So I say and it's another thing that I challenge my parents to do is, can we change but to and? So whenever we're saying something to our kids, like, I know you want to play that video game, but it's time for dinner, like, but just change that one word to and it goes a long way, right? I know you want to still watch that video game, and it's time for dinner. I need your help. Would you like to peel the carrots or cut the potatoes for me? So I get my children involved in some of the food prep. So being kind and firm. It's hard. Long-term results. We've already talked about this. We're looking at that 25-year-old human being. We want to teach life skills and characteristics, social and life skills. We teach these skills through role modeling. We teach these skills with the experiences that our children are involved in. Our teachers are teaching them these skills too. And the last one is to develop autonomy. And this is our goal. We want an independent child. And this is where the Montessori in the home piece comes in, because I help parents to create an environment in the home that's child accessible. The child knows where their bowls are, where their plates are, where the silverware is. They're involved. They feel significant. They have power. They have choice. They also get included in the, keeping up, the tidying of the environment, the cleaning of the environment. It's all about developing autonomy. which really, I think all 5 of these things really build that resiliency. It, of course, builds that responsibility, but teaching them that respect for themselves, respect for others, and respect for their environment. Okay, so I'm just going to pause here, and we're going to do a few activities with asking versus telling, and praise versus encouragement, and learning about the importance of connection before correction. Okay, so one of the things that I love most about facilitating positive discipline workshops is the experiential learning that happens. So I'm trained as a facilitator to allow you to experience and think about what are you thinking and feeling and deciding when you hear certain communication, or, you know, when I put scenarios in place, and you get a feeling of what your child feels like. And so you're able to role play and understand better where your child might be coming from. So I am going to be doing an experiential lesson with you. And this is going to teach us something. So how many times are we constantly telling our children what to do, how to do it, when to do it, and you better hurry up and, you know, do it on time? And sometimes we have to, sometimes we have to tell our kids what to do. But I am going to take you through a little experiential lesson where you can hear the difference of telling versus asking. So we're going to do this in 2 rounds. So I want you to pretend like you're your child and hear the statements that I'm saying to you. Go brush your teeth. Don't forget your coat. Go to bed. Do your homework. Stop fighting with your brother. Put your dishes in the dishwasher. Hurry up and get dressed or you'll miss the bus. Stop whining. Pick up your toys. Okay, so that's the end of round 1. And just kind of get a gut feeling of like, what were you thinking when I was saying those things? What were you feeling? And then what were you deciding to do? What was going to be your next action? Okay, so now we're going to do round 2. What do you need to do so your teeth won't feel all fuzzy? What are you taking so you won't be cold outside? What's next on your bedtime routine chart? What's your plan for doing your homework? How can you and your brother solve this problem? What did we decide about what to do with our dishes when we're all done eating? What do you need to do so you can catch the bus on time? What words can you use so I can hear you? What is your responsibility when you are finished playing with your toys? Okay, so that's the end of round 2. So what are you thinking and feeling and deciding? It's a quick, it's a shift in our, using a what or a how question. So just catch yourself next time. Like next time you're telling your kids what to do or how to do it, see if you can ask. And I actually only recommend this for basically children ages 4 and older. Children ages, 3.5, 4 and younger are going to need more of a routine of this is what we do. This is how we do it. And they really need you to be that like captain of the ship and you're guiding them. Jacket on. So there's times when I do tell my kids what to do, but when you can use a what or a how question, it gets your child to think for themselves. It builds that autonomy, helping them to be responsible for themselves. And just by thinking, what do I need on my feet before I go outside? Oh, I need my socks and shoes. They're thinking, so they're not going to push back and say no, because it's actually, you're not giving them the choice. You're asking them that question. So I love that activity. Okay, so now we're going to do another activity. And there's going to be 2 rounds to this activity as well. And this is actually a pretty feel-good activity, but we're going to do the first round, get into your idea, what you're thinking, feeling, and deciding, then we'll do the second round. So you're such a good girl. Good job. I like what you did. Your painting is beautiful. You're so smart. I wish the others could be like you. You did it just like I told you. I like the way you're sitting right here beside me. You did it better than anyone else. I am so proud of you. You're the best player on the team. Okay, so that's the end of round one. Probably feel pretty good, right? So there'll be a slight difference in round two, but I want you to see in your gut feeling of what you're thinking, feeling, and deciding now when I say these statements. You figured it out for yourself. It took courage to stand up for yourself like that. Thanks for helping me. It made my day easier. Can you tell me about your painting? What colors did you use? Look how far you've come. You can do it. I believe you can do it. I love you no matter what. You can decide what's best for you. How do you feel about it? I have faith in you. I care about you. Okay, so what are you thinking and feeling and deciding during those statements? And that's the difference of praise versus encouragement. Okay, I'm just going to go back to our workshop or slideshow here. Alrighty, I think you can see that. And let me go to, sorry about this. Okay, so let's see. We started here and we just did the praise versus encouragement. And so I'm not saying that you shouldn't praise your kids because everybody loves a little praise. You probably felt really good after that first round. But what I am saying is maybe use it every once in a while. So praise could be thought of as like candy. You know, every once in a while it's okay, but what you really want to try to start using are words of encouragement. So it's not so much of what we say to our kids, it's then what they say to themselves. And I remember doing this workshop when it was in person with two people. And usually I praise one person and then I just use words of encouragement to another person. And I ask the parents, you know, would you like to switch spots with the other one? And usually the person who was feeling encouraged feels really good and they don't want to trade. And the person that was praised, they think, wow, you know, I have a lot to live up to. You know, my mom, you know, it was more what I was feeling and not what the child's feeling. So there's this great article, and feel free to send me an email and I can send you the article. Alfie Kohn wrote the 5 reasons why not to say good job. And this was something that was taught to me about 20 years ago when I was doing my Montessori training. And I thought, good job. Everyone likes to hear that, good job. But it's not that don't say good job. It's that there's so many other ways to say good job. Good job's kind of a blanket statement. So how can you encourage, praise the doer, you know, not the accomplishment. So praise the person and use those words of encouragement to have the child want to do more. And I know Carol Dweck did a lot of great research on this and with that growth mindset that I was talking about early on. So the whole idea is that we want to create connection before correction. So you want to find connection with your child. I would recommend getting down onto your child's level. I even say be only 2 feet apart, which is enough room for maybe you to reach out and have it touch a kind, gentle hand on their shoulder or something. Some parents might say something like, "Can you look at me? Look at my eyes." And that's what I usually say to my 6-year-old, "Look at my eyes." So he looks at me so I can tell him something and he can hear me. When we use words of, when we are making this connection, a lot of times we could just be validating their feelings. And it's not that we're agreeing with their feelings. If they're maybe having a temper tantrum or they're, yelling about something, yeah, I hear you. You seem really angry. So you're validating their feelings. You're naming the feeling angry. You're feeling angry. And you wish your brother didn't break your Legos. And the Legos broke. What can you do to fix it? And use those what and how questions. So there's so many different tools all in one, but these are just a few of the tools that you can use to really to keep this connection. Another tool that I give parents to provide this connection, and it's a proactive way to solve a problem, and it's with special time. And special time is, as it is special, it's one-on-one time that you're having with one child. So for me, it's hard. I have 3 kids, 3 different ages. They're all in different developmental planes. But if I can spend even just 10 minutes of one-on-one time when I'm alone, they have my attention and they have my attitude. It's the, yeah, I want to do what you're doing. Show me what you're doing. Right now, my son's into Legos, and that's what he would love for me to do, is sit with him and watch him do Legos. He doesn't really need my help anymore, but maybe I can help to get some of the little pieces. I spent a little time earlier just jumping on the trampoline with him because he was doing remote learning all day. So it was really hard for him. So I knew if I took a little time out of my schedule, jumped on the trampoline with him for 15 minutes, did what he wanted to do, and just use these words of encouragement. And it was actually really amazing because different things came up. He felt good. So he was opening up to me and telling me about a few different things that happened to him in his life. But using that idea of connection before correction. So thinking about the environment, when we're designing our home and our routines, we want to make it completely accessible for our children to develop independence and to learn life skills through chores and purposeful work. So that's another one of the things that I tell my parents, is that there's only really 2 things we need to do. We need to love our kids unconditionally and give them chores. So these chores, not only they're helping them to build responsibility and skills, but they're giving them that sense of accomplishment, and that feeling of self-esteem and self-worth will go a long way. They might begrudgingly do some things, but it's all life skills. It's building on all these life skills and characteristics. Purposeful work, it's not all about doing chores. Purposeful work is so empowering. So as you could see, my daughter Annie's in this first slide, painting butter on the bread for garlic bread. I have out in the center pictures different food prep tools that we use. A banana, they peel the banana by themselves. They chop the banana. There's an apple slicer. What else do I have in there? The tongs. I love these little tongs, and I teach my children at a young age how to cut using a knife so that they can do all this food prep work. Helps them to be better eaters. Setting up maybe your foyer or your mudroom, wherever your kids come in. I have a little small stool there in the last picture. And my daughter is maybe 3 years old in that picture, putting on sandals with that little buckle all by herself. Like, that's hard work. She did it herself. And then I just remember this moment so much. She just she had this breath of like, I did it. I did it. I can do it. And usually when I ask my kids to help me around the house, I'll say, oh man, thank you so much. I really appreciate your help. I couldn't have done it without you. So you really appreciate them. So start thinking of yourself as the captain of the ship and develop consistent boundaries and limits. Remember though, kind and firm at the same time. So we need to guide our kids and role model the behaviors we wish to see. And this is not always going to happen. So something that I always make sure to tell all my families, because I don't want anyone leaving this workshop feeling guilty or any shame of how they treated their kids or told them what to do. But what you can do is only 3 out of 10 times. 3 out of 10 times we have to try to be this positive parent. 3 out of 10 times we have to try to use these skills. You'll see it gets easier over time. Your brain starts to remember, and you can even write yourself little cheat sheets. I do it. I have cheat sheets in all my little cabinets of words of encouragement, and even for myself, words of encouragement for myself. But what we can do, and we're all doing the best we can do with what we've got. So we just have to try. And if you make a mistake, don't beat yourself up about it. Please, please, please. Just know that, put it in your head, oh, next time I'll do it this way differently. So I don't want to discourage anybody. If you're interested in learning more about the Parent Empowerment Program, which is a transformative 3-month program that I am offering right now, book a 20-minute strategy call, and we can figure out one of like your biggest parenting challenges on that call. And I can also tell you about how you can work with me. My website is there, kristenanker.com. I have a great little DIY course, a little do-it-yourself course that I made last year during the pandemic. The kids are home now. What are we going to do? But it's a great short little mini series of all the best of positive discipline tools in a nice, succinct little program there. And yes, so thank you so much for taking the time. It really makes a difference in, I believe knowledge is power, and we do better when we know better. So I hope I gave you a few tools to start using right away to gain cooperation with your kids. But feel free to reach out if you would like any of those articles I talked about. Send me an email, and you can, I think right on my website, you can book a 20-minute strategy call. But if you can't, I can arrange one, and you can just send me an email. We can arrange one. But you are all doing an awesome job. That's all we can keep telling ourselves, and we're all doing the best we can. And I remember when I created, let's see, I'm going to stop the share here. So when I saw that the first slide where the parent is like doing everything, and I even found that slide before the pandemic happened. And this has been a challenging year, to say the least. And what it's taught me is the importance of self-care and the importance of taking care of ourselves first. And I've always known that, but this put it into more, it was a necessity of like, we need to make sure we're the healthiest mentally, emotionally, physically, so that we can be that role model for our kids, so that we have the energy to set up our home in that way, that we want to feel good. We want to feel good. So we want to create an environment for us to thrive and for our kids to grow and to develop optimally. So I wish you all the best of luck. Again, my name is Kristen Anker, and you can also find more information about me on Facebook. I have a free Facebook group called the Parent Empowerment Group. You probably see a picture of me with my daughter on there. So join us. It makes a difference when you have like-minded people working together for the same goal. So thank you so much, and bye for now.